I'm Barry Rapkin. I'm with Identified Technologies, and I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about drone mapping and how engineering firms are growing their businesses using drone mapping. So, real quickly, the agenda for the day is going to be we're going to talk about the basics of drones, how they're benefiting your particular industry, how engineering firms are growing their businesses using drone mapping, a special limited time offer only for live attendees, and then open it up for audience Q&A. And as you guys have questions throughout the session, you can send them at any point, and I'll try to address them as we go. So we touched a little bit on, well, RC planes have been around for a long time. Why is there suddenly this huge interest in and use of drones? Well, this was the common RC user experience. They were paper, they were cardboard, they were flimsy. They were a toy, but they weren't a tool, and you couldn't really do much with them. They certainly weren't a professional, something you could use for professional applications. You just kind of joyride. So what changed? Why is there this sudden massive interest in drones that we see today? Well, it's a combination of government and private sector innovation. NASA worked on flight controllers. The U.S. Navy put out miniaturized GPS systems. We have miniaturized sensors like accelerometers and gyroscopes in our phones that basically help electronics know exactly where they are each moment, recalibrating hundreds of times a second. You have high-quality miniaturized digital cameras and sensors, all combined with progress in model aircrafts to give us kind of the modern drone and technology that we're enjoying today. And so in terms of, well, what's the right drone for you? Depends on your needs. There's no perfect drone for everyone. You can have everything from a $100 million military drone to about a $1,000 Phantom Vision from DJI, which is a great drone company. And if you want to just snap a couple of photos or capture some video, that'll be perfect for you. And everything in between. So there's no one perfect drone. It's all about what your particular applications are and what you're trying to accomplish and finding the best match for that. We're seeing early applications in drones in real estate, sports, movies, and deliveries. And we're seeing drones used in industry. So for mining, they're being used to track earth-moving projects and track aggregate, so you know how much inventory you have. In construction, they're being used a lot for big earth-moving projects, excavation, heavy highway, Department of Transportation, where you can actually track not just where you are today, but where you were, what your progress is, what your real costs are, track your profitability, so you know how much you're actually going to make at the end of the project, and comparing different contractors and different jobs. They're being used in oil and gas for things like pipelines, impoundment ponds, and well pads, agriculture to check things like how different areas of farms are doing, where they need more fertilizer. They're being used for landfills to make sure that the cell isn't exceeded, but that there's no wasted capacity. And they're being used in mapping, surveying, and engineering. Basically any application where you need to quickly gather your job site data and have it be accurate and have it be fast. And that goes back to why so many construction and engineering projects end up running late or over budget. Every day, project managers are asked to do the impossible, go to war with a mountain of paperwork and communicate with their contractors, their leadership, customers, while having perfect visibility to every change on every massive job site all simultaneously. I renovated my house, and it was hard just to know everything going on there. I can't even imagine what it's like on a 100-acre or a 1,000-acre project, of which there are many. And largely, construction is still done the same way it was 20, 30 years ago. It's using rolled-up paper blueprints. Managers walk the site with a clipboard, taking notes and pictures. The stakeholders have to be physically on the job site to check progress. And we actually are working now with an engineering company in Pittsburgh that were sort of on the East Coast, and they had to fly out every single Monday for a client on the West Coast that they were working with to check the progress on the building. And you know, they have to physically be there. And the reason that aerial overhead data is only rarely captured is because in general it's been prohibitively expensive. Most companies can only afford to gather it maybe once a year, if they're lucky, once a quarter. But if they're paying 15 or 20 grand per flight, it's just too expensive to collect regularly, as nice as it would be to have that data. And that lack of fast, informed decisions uh, leads to a few different issues. Inefficiency, because expensive contractors and rental equipment often go unused due to bottlenecks that could have been prevented. Leads to project delays, because you're waiting for customers to get out to the site to approve portions of work and release funds for the next section. It can lead to low profits, because when projects go over budget, it comes directly out of the construction company's profits. And it can lead to lost customers, because customers who experience disappointments on their project may not use you again, they may badmouth you, they may stop mid-project or even file lawsuits. But unfortunately, you can't make good decisions if you don't have the data to go off. So why drone mapping is useful is, for the first time in history, it's been possible to rapidly capture job site visibility, see what's going on the site, not just in 2D, but in 3D. You get accurate data. It's automatic. You can map your site at the push of a button. It's near real time. It's not minutes to gather the data, or sorry, it's not months to gather the data like it can be with a manned survey. It's minutes. And usually, if you fly that morning, you'll have your data back before you leave. So you can make pretty rapid changes and decisions, and it's secure. So who are we? Identified Technologies offers the easiest way to track industrial projects. We work with ENR 400 leaders in energy, construction, excavation, mining, and engineering. The reason they choose us is because alternatives are slow, inaccurate, dangerous, and costly. And we're world's only automatic, totally integrated, end-to-end drone as a service subscription. I'll get more into that later, but basically what that means is most other alternatives you're cobbling together, kind of a jigsaw puzzle of different vendors. If something goes wrong, they're all pointing fingers at each other. We have a complete integrated system that's all built to work together, and we're responsible for making sure you have a great experience and it's getting you everything you need. And we're headquartered in Pittsburgh, PA, at the heart of the Marcellus Shale region, and we serve clients around the world. Some of those clients include Kokosing Construction, Seneca Resources in midstream and upstream energy, PJ Dick Construction, Mascaro Construction, Americoal Mining, and EQT in energy. And we've recently been featured by TED, Inc., CNN, South by Southwest, TechCrunch, NBC, and actually just in the last month or two, New York Times and Forbes. If you're interested in learning more, you can go to our website, identifiedtech.com. Click the news section and read all about us. We are approved ISN contractors, where we have IS Networld approval. We have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. We have a $5 million general liability insurance coverage. And I'm happy to say we're the fastest growing drone company on the East Coast. In terms of what kind of data can you get from us, we automate advanced surveying and mapping. So if you, again, just want to snap some photos, there's better tools. You don't need us. But if you want to get 3D volumetric analysis, where you can actually track earth moving and stockpiles in different areas, we let you do that, and we make it very, very easy. You can do contour mapping, orthomosaic overlays, and actually as-built versus as-planned blueprint overlays. So you can see the progress on the site and make sure everything's lining up with the way it was initially planned. We also do cut fill tracking heat maps, so you can track progress that way. You can see how close you are to the goal completion level for the site, and we let you securely share data and export it in all major file formats. We're also going to be releasing more sensors in the future, including NDVI for vegetation, thermal imaging, sense and avoid, gas detection and methane, and multispectral. So how are we different than alternatives? Well, a lot has to do with cost and speed. With an aerial survey, you're paying to get a pilot out to your site. They got to fly there. You're paying for jet fuel. You're paying for the equipment itself, which can weigh thousands of pounds. and it's easily 15 or 20 grand per flight. If you're doing a manned survey team, it can often be about the same. If it's a 100-acre site, it might take a month to survey, and they're getting about $1,000 per workday, so that's about 20 grand. And either one of those alternatives, it's probably going to take, if you're lucky, a month, and in some cases up to 3 months to get your data back. With us, you can track a 100-acre job site in minutes. You get it on demand. You literally push the button and the drone will capture all that data for you, and you'll have the data processed and back to you for analysis and collaboration with your stakeholders and team within hours. Again, you fly that morning, you have it before you leave the office. So there's another option, right? You got no aerial tracking whatsoever, and we've kind of discussed some of the struggles and negatives to go in that route. You have doing manned survey teams, standard aerial options, an option like Identified, or doing it all in-house. So if you do want to DIY it, here's what that process looks like. You're going to need to manage the FAA regulations, make sure you have your 107, do all the tracking that the FAA requires, and follow all their policies. You're going to need to source and train drone pilots. You're going to need to find the software, hardware, processing, storage, and management solutions that you want to use. You have to take on the risk or insurance of the drone, and then also handle crashes or replacements. Even if no one's injured, it can easily be $50,000 per crash just for the drone itself. And then when you actually want to use the drone, you get a KML that shows the map perimeter of the region of interest. You're going to lay ground control points. You create and upload your flight plan. You fly the drone. You have to geotag the data, transfer the data, process the data, store and manage the data, and finally, at the end of all that, you get to analyze and collaborate with your team on it. But what's different about Identified Technologies is we try to cut out every unnecessary step and just take you as quickly as possible to the insights and being able to collaborate and drive profitability. So with us, you upload your flight plan. It's only built once. After that, you're just good to go. You push a button, the drone will take itself off, fly the area, capturing all the data, come back, land itself. You put the data up to the cloud, it's uploaded and processed, and then boom, you can access and analyze your job site. So that's sort of why people choose us instead of doing it themselves. So let's get to the heart of this conversation and what I know you're here for, which is how are engineering firms growing their businesses using drone mapping? So the case I'm going to be sharing with you involves Arm Group. Attracting new clients is the lifeblood of every growing company. That's especially true for businesses like engineering consulting firms, which have to stand out from their competition to win new customers. So to that end, Hershey PA-based Arm Group turned to Identified Technologies for an edge. And Hershey PA is the home of Hershey's chocolate. I don't know if we have any Hershey's or chocolate lovers in the audience, but it's also actually near Harrisburg and the home of Trogs. So if you don't like chocolate, hopefully you at least like good craft beer. Trogs is one of my favorite breweries. So ARM is an earth resource engineering and consulting firm. The company supports the oil and gas industry with environmental consulting, waste management engineering, geotechnical engineering, water resource planning, and management for renewable energy development and geophysical surveys. I would bet that plenty of people in the audience today share at least some of those same services. So one service ARM had never offered was aerial mapping. If a customer wanted that, they had to go with another third-party vendor to do it. And they decided to try using Identified Technologies' EDAS system, end-to-end drone as a service, so they could have a fully integrated mapping and measuring solution. And that did three main things that contributed to ARM's operations. That's what I want to share with you. So number one was it could finally sell aerial mapping services to clients. until they started offering aerial mapping, their clients were forced to go with other vendors. Sometimes that was entire engineering vendors where they weren't just getting aerial mapping, but they're also trying to court their other business away. And by being able to offer aerial mapping, not only could they make money from that, but it's made them a one-stop shop, so they're less likely to lose customers to competitors. And the internal workflow to offer drone mapping was intuitive for them. Literally, they fly the job site at the push of a button, they capture the data, it's automatically processed, and they can share that data, basically white labeling it with customers. So from there, ARM or the client has full access to analyze the captured measurements any way they choose and securely share them. Next up, after just the direct benefit of being able to offer aerial mapping, is being able to do follow-up business from mapping results. So ARM is known for its multidisciplinary project teams. The company develops work plans based on innovative and well thought out concepts and strategies. And data from the boomerang-generated maps has played well with ARM's approach. This company has used these findings to generate additional follow-on business from its clients, including utility design, CAD design, and other engineering services. So they're able to say, hey, we did this flight for you. This is what we found out. Now, what are the next steps? And how can we help you on those projects? And the third way that ARM and other engineering groups have been able to help their businesses using drone mapping is winning new business through technology leadership. ARM is committed to meeting and exceeding project goals and producing value for its clients. Using identified technology's EDAS model has allowed ARM to further differentiate themselves from the competition, while tapping into high margin revenue and follow-up business from drone mapping. When people say, well, why should I use you instead of Acme Engineering down the block, you can say, well, not only am I a one-stop shop, but I can offer you a level of transparency in how the job is going and oversight that no one else can, and I'm using the most cutting-edge technology to do it. That really does set you apart, both on a brand level and as a business. So in terms of what the onboarding process looks like to work with Identified and how ARM was able to come on, this is just a super quick background. Our support goes beyond just offering the technology itself. We help you with setup, training, your first flights, understanding how to use the data, what it means, how to get it adopted through your team. Our client success managers will have an initial conversation with you, understand what your needs are, any obstacles you have, any concerns you have, exactly what you're trying to achieve with your drone mapping, and make sure that you have everything you need to be successful, coach you every way through it. We offer best-in-class support, not just in planning, but also troubleshooting. If anything does go wrong, because it's a totally integrated system, it's on us to fix and fix immediately. And because it is a SaaS model, you don't pay up front. You just pay as you use it over time. So again, we have a vested interest to make sure that you are always happy and always getting what you need from the data. If for some reason the drone were to manufacture was to malfunction one morning, well, we're going to be talking you through it, and if we can't fix it quickly, we're overnighting you a brand new drone to make sure that you can fly. That's the level of support that you can expect from us. And besides the in-person support, we also have an online support center with a lot of helpful resources, everything from 107 training and certification to new feature information and training, how to do ground control points, and then how to use Flight IQ, Site IQ, and the drone. And with it also comes quarterly check-ins to make sure you're happy, see if you are aware of all the new features that we've rolled out, and learn if there's anything on your wish list that you wish that we had that maybe we should get busy on. So put all that together, and we will help you win more bids, we'll help you track and increase your profitability, we'll help you with quality assurance, and we'll help you satisfy, win, and retain clients. Now, you've been very patient, so I want to get to the Q&A, but first we do have a free offer. If after this presentation you want to take just a minute and go to identifiedtech.com, in the bottom right of our page, there's an offer to win a free month of drone mapping. So if you want to try us out, you think it sounds good, but not quite ready to whip out the wallet just yet, you can win a free month of drone mapping. All you have to do is tell us a little bit about what your needs are. That helps us build out a better product and make sure that we're solving your real problems, and won't cost you anything but a minute or two of your time. So with that, I want to turn it over to Q&A. I want to answer all your questions, and if you would do me a favor and just start typing some questions in, I will do my best to answer them. I am not the CTO, I'm the CMO, so there may be a question or two that I don't know the answer to, but I will try to find out, and worst case, you can go to our website, identifiedtech.com, and if you just fill out the contact us box, one of our drone experts will be in touch with you. So the first question we got is, what are the vertical accuracies? That's from Grant. So it's comparable to LiDAR. We don't actually use LiDAR. The reason being that LiDAR is very power hungry. So you'd only be able to fly the drone for a minute or two before it would have to come down again. So we use a different but very similar technology that's SIPs rather than guzzles battery life. But if you've been using LiDAR in the past, it'll be very, very comparable to that within less than 1%. Okay, I got another question. This is from Gary. The question is a good one. I'm a photographer, wanted to offer the service to the oil and gas business, construction companies, and other businesses. Is this something I could use? Gary, probably not. I think you'd be better off just getting, like I said, a high quality kind of amateur drone like a DJI. Um, and if all you want to do is snap some photos, purely as a photographer, that's going to be a better solution for you. This is more of a business tool. It can be used from a marketing perspective. We've had clients where they would survey the site with our tools before, during, and after, and then not only can they take their current clients through that story and through that process and help them feel involved, but they actually save that. So next time they're courting a potential client on the same kind of project, they can show them, here's what we did in the past for someone else, and what we can do for you too. Because you can tell somebody all day that you're going to do great work, but if you can actually put it in front of them, they'll believe it. So we have had people use it from a marketing perspective that way, but if you strictly want pictures, not necessarily three-dimensional maps and tracking, you don't need us. You can just use a photography level drone. We had a question, what states and countries do you offer services? This is from Grant. We work all over the country and the world. We are primarily focused in America, but even if you're outside America, we'd love to talk to you. And I would say our heaviest concentration is East Coast and Midwest, but we do have clients all over the country, and yeah, the rules for the FAA are the same all over the U.S., and we're licensed to work all over the U.S. We had a question from Lou. Do you offer services in New Mexico and Colorado? Absolutely. I'm even going out to Breckenridge, Colorado in late January. So if you want to meet in person, I'll hopefully see you on the slopes. We got a question for what software is being used to process the drone data. So we use, like I said, our own kind of proprietary integrated system for we call it Site IQ for the processing and analytical tools, and then Flight IQ in terms of the flight planning. So we're happy to give you demos of that and that technology, but that's what we use. Richard asked, what type of weather do you fly in? The basic rule is if a person can be out in it, then, with any sense of comfort, then a drone can be out in it. We can fly in 30-mile-per-hour winds. We can fly in light rain. What you wouldn't want to do is put your drone in the middle of a tornado or hurricane. But hopefully if you can avoid it, you're not going to put yourself in that situation either. What's great about the drones is they actually have accelerometers and gyroscopes in them that recalibrate and recalculate their location hundreds of times a second. So even if they're being buffeted left or right by wind, they're constantly readjusting and still able to maintain a consistent flight path, which is why we can track progress so well over time. Is they're able to follow the exact same path and geocode that data each time. We had a question, are the contour spot elevations deliverables compatible with Autodesk products? Um, I'll tell you, every single person we've worked with said that our technology was compatible with what they had. I haven't asked specifically about Autodesk, but what you can do, if you go to our website, identifytech.com, and click on Solutions at the top of our page, right by the logo, if you scroll about halfway down, it's got a list of all the different export types that we can do, and these are the primary asks. So these include 3D meshes, formats like .dxf and .fbx, all types of contour maps, digital surface models like .lays and .tiff, and orthomosaics like .prgs, and a lot more in between. So, okay, sorry. Jake, one of my resident drone experts, says a big yes to Autodesk. So yeah, I thought we could do it. The answer is a definitive yes, we can export and are compatible with Autodesk. And we got a question of how long does it take to get the images? The vast majority of time, if you do the flight that morning, we'll be able to have it to you before you leave the office that day. There may be a rare exception where, hey, if you're doing some, I don't know, 50-mile stretch of highway, it could take a little bit longer to process, but a lot of the jobs we do are in the 100-acre, maybe 1,000-acre range, and usually we're able to get it to you within hours. And when the alternative is, in most cases, weeks or months, that's obviously a considerable advantage. Oh, okay. So awesome question from Lou. And this is something that I don't think I did a great job clarifying, so I'm really glad you brought it up. If you work with us with Identify Technologies, there's no response time. You have the drone lives on your job site, you have the technology, and anytime you feel like it, you push the button on the drone, you put it out on the job site, hit the button, and it will capture all the data for you, and you're going to be able to analyze it, hopefully within a few hours. So there is no contacting us. I know that's a hard thing to maybe get your mind around, but it'll live in your flatbed truck or in the back of your car, and anytime you want a survey, it's on demand. And the way our business model works, you don't pay anything extra for that. There's a flat fee, and whether you want to map it once a day or once a week, whatever kind of makes sense for your business needs, you can get updates as frequently as you want. So I hope that clarifies, Lou, and I'm really glad you brought that up. Richard Sim asked, do you do roads and bridges? Absolutely. We do strictly aerial overheads, though. So if you want to, let's say, get the underside of a bridge, you would need to also use another tool or send in manual surveys for that, but we can do overheads, no problem. And that's 99% of what's needed is overhead aerial. You guys are giving me a lot of good questions. I love how active this audience is. Maybe if you guys have any questions on specific applications for engineering or business value, I can talk to that. If you have kind of wishes for future in-depth webinars that you'd like me to cover, that's a helpful topic too. Got a question from Alfred of what about examining a bridge for structural integrity? So again, we can give you a 3D overhead map. What we can't do is look underneath and tell you, that the base is rusted out or something like that. That is something that you would need to either use a separate sort of surveyor for or something like that. We can get you anything that you could see from overhead that you'd want, and it will be captured in 3 dimensions. Oh, so Grant, excellent question. Grant asks, it's my understanding that commercial use requires an FAA Part 107 certified pilot performing the work. Absolutely true. So you are doing the work. There's a couple of cases where we do the work for our clients because they didn't feel like getting someone trained in the 107. But the thing is, the 107's only been available since the end of August. And the 107 is really easy to get, especially with us helping you. So all you need for a 107 is, and we actually have a webinar specifically about this. So if this is something you're curious about, give me 1 minute, and I'm going to send you a link to this, or you can go to our website later and see it yourself. But we did a webinar that I'm sending over now, specifically on how to start commercial drone mapping operations, and it's a full step-by-step guide on how to get the Part 107. So basically, it's a less than 2-hour test. It's multiple choice. I think you have to get there's 60 questions, and you have to get 70% right, and it's pretty easy to get. And we have all kinds of testing and training materials, and a chief aviation officer who helped design our whole course with over 2 decades of experience to help make sure that you can get your 107. So if you don't want to do the work, we have pilots and we will do it. We do that for some clients, but the vast majority of the people we work with just have someone on their team get the 107. Again, we walk you through that. You're not on your own, and then you can legally collect the data anytime you want. So awesome point, Grant, and thank you for bringing that up. So Elling asked insurance risks. So we've never had any kind of injuries on site. We have a $5 million general liability policy that covers most everything. We work with major players like EQT that are relatively conservative, and we were able to get by their legal teams without any major concerns. If you have anything specific you want to discuss, we can do it now or we can do it offline. But in general, there's going to be less safety issues and less insurance issues using drones because you're not putting people at risk. If a plane or a helicopter goes down mid-flight, you got a real problem. Our drone's something like a foot by a foot and weighs a few pounds. So it's not the same if something were going to happen. And now you don't have your employees marching around job sites trying to hike up really steep terrain, dodging different people that may, massive power trucks that may not see them. Now you're just sending out a robot to collect the data. So it's you're not putting people at risk in the same way, and there really should be significant risk. Insurance benefits and safety benefits to doing it. In fact, a lot of people that choose us, especially in mining and construction, and energy, which are so safety focused, it's that they don't have to put their people in danger, especially in really steep or hazardous terrain. So I really appreciate all the time that you guys spent with me in this presentation, especially when we I know that little audio glitch at the beginning. So thanks for sticking it out. If you guys think of follow-up questions that you want to address, what you can do is just go to our website, go to identifiedtech.com. I'm going to put the link for it. I'm going to send it out to everybody. Okay, so there's the Contact Us link. And I also want to send everyone the, this is how to learn how to get your 107. So yeah, just go to identifiedtech.com for any follow-up questions. I see one last question from Grant is, do you QC the submitted flight path for collision prevention and FAA airport clearance? Absolutely. So that is something we include. We'll tell you, hey, and there are some policies on that. So the FAA won't let you fly right by an airport, which is pretty reasonable. You can't fly over certain flight altitudes, and if you give us the flight plan you're thinking about, which is just showing us the area that you're considering, we run that through our aviation team, and we make sure that everything's kosher and that you won't have any issues. So really, really, really good questions. I appreciate all your participation, and I hope you feel like you learned something. I'm going to be sending out a recording of this webinar, including a PDF of the deck and a certificate of participation. That's also in the handout section on the side, so you can get that now or later. If you think that there's other people you might know that would be interested in what we covered today, please feel free to share it with them. We should be sending out the invitation to view the recording tomorrow, and that's it. You guys have been awesome, and I hope you feel like this was beneficial, and I hope you'll join us for future webinars. So thank you all so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful week ahead.